Hey, yo, Brandon, what's poppin', boy? Underexposed Podcast. That's what I'm seeing. That's what I heard. You already know what it is. Let's get it.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Underexposed, the show where we get nice and deep with our guest. On the show today, we expose some of the great things about our guests, some things that you might not even know about them, some of your favorite YouTubers, videographers, content creators, photographers, models, everything. I am your host, Brandon Cole, and today I have an amazing guest for you guys. Oh my goodness, let me tell you. So this guy, man, has been on the scene for a very long time, and I've reached out to this guy so many times. One of the nicest people that you will meet. You guys could have been anywhere else in the world, but you're here today, and we're going to make it worth your while. So without further ado, my next guest, all the way from British Columbia, Canada. I don't even know how many miles away that is, but that is absolutely crazy. Yo, this man has been nominated twice for a Juno Music Producer. Oh my goodness, man. One of the most prolific YouTubers and content creators around, and probably one of the only people who probably loves coffee as much as I do. He also won a Moment YouTuber award for Is It Worth the Hype? YouTuber the review. I'm gonna have to ask him about that, more about that. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, please help me welcome to the show one of my best guys that I love talking to, Mr. Dunna Did It. What's up, family? Welcome to the show. How are you doing, man? I'm
doing all right. Thanks for having me. How you been?
Man, I've been great, man. It's been a minute since we saw each other. I think the last time we was actually together was at one of the Sony events. I think it was our last Sony event. Yeah.
You got it. Yeah,
man, it's been great, man. It has, man. And I just wanted to say, man, just starting off, man, you know, one of the things I love about you, man, is that, you know, you're not one of those creators, man, that you're hard to reach, you're hard to find. You know, when people get to a certain status, man, you know, they kind of like stand off to themselves, and, you know, they kind of forget where they came from. But you're kind of like me. You're definitely one of those people, man. If you have the time, if people reach out to you, you know, you'll reach back to them, you'll help them, you'll talk to them, and you're just genuine, man. And I just love that about you. Some of the jokes and stuff that you know, do on Instagram, and it's fluid with you, and I just appreciate you for being one of those people, man, that, you know, you're just a genuine person all around, man. So definitely appreciate that.
Oh man, I appreciate it. Yeah,
no doubt.
I mean, that's why I got into this, was to connect with more people, and just because I love cameras and I love nerding out about cameras. The problem is, though, every time that you hit me up, and anytime anyone hits me up, if I do respond, you better be ready to spend some money, because I like talking about gear, and I'm gonna tell you what you need.
Spend some money. That's absolutely right. That's how we do, man. That is exactly how we do it. And I'm ashamed of that myself. But it's great, man. So as one of the most, I love it, man, because you're one of the biggest, most prolific content creators and YouTubers around, man. And I definitely wanted to spend some time talking about content creation with you. Some of the things that just drove you, you know, some of the reasons why you got into it, and all those things. So, you know, without further ado, man, we're going to go ahead and jump right into it. So I'm just going to start off, man, with you. First of all, where the heck did you get your name from, and why Dunna Did It? Let's start there.
My last name is McDonough. Mm-hmm. And when I was in high school, you know how like everybody calls each other by their last name? I think it's like a sports thing kind of thing. Okay. And eventually, for whatever reason, McDonough just got shortened to Dunna, and then that stuck. And that's like a real nickname, like outside of YouTube. It's not just like a stage name. It's like my mom calls me Dunna. So like, yeah, that one stuck. And then when I got into YouTube, I kind of didn't know what, like I started off more vlogging than doing the like kind of reviews and tutorials and that kind of stuff. And so I really wanted to leave it open to whatever I might want to do at the time. And so Dunna Did It just kind of seemed like, I didn't want to commit to anything, and so that left it open. So at any point, if I pivot the channel tomorrow and I start talking about like skiing or something like that, it still technically is me doing it. So it's Dunna Did it. There you go.
That kind of keeps you under the umbrella. So okay, well I can use that, and it can relate to this also. So I'm good either way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's really good. I like that.
Yeah, the only thing that doesn't work is if I decide to try and hire somebody else to host the channel, because then it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, then it's like, well, hold on, you're not Dunna. Well, we're under the umbrella of Dunna, so
Yeah.
So that's good, man. So it's crazy. Like, how long have you been doing this now?
I think end of 2016 was when I bought my first camera. Wow. Like the first camera I ever had, and was like gonna go straight into it. I was like, I'm gonna make vlogs, I'm gonna start taking photos, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I probably started the channel early 2017 kind of thing.
2017. Wow, man. Yeah. So talking about being a content creator, what exactly was that spark, like that thing that made you say, you know what, I'm gonna be a content creator. This is something that I think I can do. Like, what was that?
Well, I mean, I was a music producer for 10 years. Like, I have a recording studio back in the city that I lived in before, in Edmonton. I'm owner of a recording studio over there that somebody else is running now. And at the time, is getting to the point, anytime you take something that's your hobby, like for me, like music was something that I loved, and I have a bunch of school in it, like a bunch of formal education, and then you take that thing you love, you turn it into a job, and you have to be ready for the fact that, specifically in the studios, musicians come in, they say, I want you to produce this, I want you to, record me this way, I want it to sound this way. And in the end, like if they're putting money on the table, then I'm kind of answering to them. They kind of have the veto power. Right. So as much as I was getting to be creative, it wasn't for me. So then I think I started to look for something else that could be a creative outlet for me, so that I could enjoy music and the creativity that I got to use with it. But then I also had this thing that was solely just for me. And so then that was when I picked up a camera and started getting into photography, started getting into videography. And specifically at the time, it was kind of the height of the Casey Neistat era of vlogging and stuff. And like so many people that started YouTube around that time too, I saw that and was like, that's cool, because it looks like something that's a challenge. It looks like something that's relatable. Like he's taking his everyday stuff, but making it interesting. And it's like, well, I have an everyday. Everybody has an everyday, but it's the making it interesting and putting it together and doing it in like in kind of a technical way, but also in like an artistic way. I feel like that really gripped me and made me kind of want to dive into becoming a YouTuber.
And that makes a lot of sense, because it's funny that you say that, because a lot of people have they have that want, they have that drive, I want to do that, I want to do that. But a lot of times I feel that a lot of people don't get into it, because you have to know yourself, and you have to know like your personality. You have the personality to reach people, to have fun, to basically be like, I'm a fool, I'm gonna go out here and do it because I love having fun. Like that's just me. But just because you like something and want to do something, you also, and that's the question I'm going to ask you later, but you have to have that thing about you. You have to be relatable. You have to be a people person, and you got to be good on camera. You got to be like, there's a lot of things that go into being on YouTube or i.e. being a YouTuber, and people don't really understand that yet, man. So yeah, that's a question I'm definitely we're gonna hit a little bit more on that. But that's great, because I was trying to figure out, how did you go from being a music producer to reviewing cameras? Like that's two different like platforms. Like
and it's like I said, it started out more on the vloggy side, and then I'm just such a nerd. It really came around where, the first couple of videos was like, hey, I'm going to the gym today, like I'm starting this new workout, and then the next one's like, let's go to IKEA together, and then eventually it was like, hey, I got this new lens, like let's talk about it. And then it was, hey, I got this new camera, let's talk about, I got a new microphone, let's talk about it. And I just got so nerdy, and because in vlogs and in the kind of like daily vlogging, or I wasn't doing it daily, but like the come along with me every day, if the thing that I'm thinking about all the time and want to talk about all the time is cameras, it kind of like naturally progressed into these reviews and tutorials and passing on everything that I was learning as I was learning it. So my viewers at the time were only like 2 steps behind me. They were the people who were about to go buy their first camera, and I had just bought my first camera. So like, here's my experience and what you can learn from me, kind of thing. And that just kind of blossomed into kind of only talking about camera stuff for the most part.
Right. And you review, like, so here's a good question though. Do you I don't think you categorize yourself as a photographer or a videographer. If you're a photographer, you're doing like shit like we do. You know what I'm saying? You're a videographer, you're like making like cinematic like videography, but I don't see you really putting yourself in either one of those niches. So what do you just consider yourself a content creator?
Yeah, you got it. I'm kind of I feel like I'm a bit of a weird creature in that way, where like, you know, you see a lot of these people like yourself who like, it's like obviously like you're this incredible photographer, and then you take what you do and you create content kind of about that.
Exactly.
Or you take somebody like Danny Gevirtz or something like that, who's like this incredible cinematographer, and then uses YouTube to kind of show like behind the scenes of that.
Yes.
And I came in it kind of the other way, where I came in as a content creator and a YouTuber first, and I was trying to replicate some of the kind of cinematic stuff, and I was taking photos. So I was like thinking of myself as a hybrid shooter, like as both photo and video. And then some of the content was about that, but the little bit of like, I guess you could say like commercial work or photography work that I do that's not just for me is, and videography as well, kind of came from that. So it was almost like the flip side of what you see a lot of people. And generally anything that I do is so that I can create content about it, kind of thing. I mean, I do a lot of photography that kind of is just for me and sits on my hard drive, or, you know, gets posted on Instagram that I don't really think of as like trying to promote myself or anything, but
that's so funny.
But so like it's I kind of am YouTube and content creation first, and then any video and photo work that I do is kind of just like something extra. Like I've shot a couple of music videos and done a bunch of photography for brands and stuff like that I haven't really talked about in any kind of way. So yeah, it feels backwards from what we kind of typically think of from people in the space, for sure.
Well, that's good though, because I mean, you're still well rounded, because you can still, if you wanted to take pictures, you can still take pictures. You know how to use a camera. If you want to do video, you still know how to do video. You know what I'm saying? So you still kind of have that mixture of both. So, which is really, really good, you know, but at the same time, you also know the technical aspects of photography and video, which is great. So with that being said, I got a question for you. I got a test for you. So, so we're gonna put Dunn on the spot real quick. We're gonna give him a scenario. So
the hot seat.
Yeah, and this is something that I know you've already seen, because I know your channel. So you have a person who wants to get another video camera. All right, their options are to go buy a Canon R5C cinema camera. All right, maybe just get a 35. We just 35. The lenses don't matter. 35, 1.8, 1.4, whatever. So they want to get the Canon R5C. Or they want to probably get the Lumix S52X, which I know you've already reviewed. Or we're going to wait
there somewhere.
Yep. Or we're going to wait and see what Sony comes out. Maybe FX3 Mark II. Possibly, I don't know about the A7S4. You know, that's all still up in the air. But at this point in time, 2024, where everything is right now, should this person wait? They're probably a Sony shooter, but the brand doesn't matter. Should they wait? Should they get this 6K open gate camera? Or should they probably go with this beautiful Canon R5C camera that can possibly get over there? Prices, all of those things, what they can do, what they look like, C-Log 3, L-Log, all this stuff. What does Dunna say to this person?
I mean, so in this hypothetical scenario, they already have. You said they're getting another camera?
Video, yes.
So what are they currently shooting on?
Let's go with the A7S III.
Because I feel like that might make it. Okay,
let's go with the A7S III.
If they're in the Sony world,
yes.
If they're in the Sony world, I'd say stick with Sony. If that's something that you're familiar with, I'm a little bit biased because I've been on Sony for so long that that's always going to be the easiest step for me. I'm also a little bit biased because I'm literally shooting on an FX3 right now. That's like my go-to video camera. Absolutely love that camera. The S5 2X is really great, but I think I still like the FX3 just a little bit more. It's the Lumix has some stuff that the FX3 doesn't, but there's just something about the way that the FX3 functions for me that I really like. I find it really user friendly. I find the picture just to be super beautiful.
Okay.
And as far as the Canon, the R5C, I have zero experience. So that one I can't really speak to. That one, I mean, that sucker is like more of a cinema camera, I think, than the other ones are. It's still, I guess it's like a not quite the big boxy like FX6 or anything like that, but it's still a little bit
boxy,
bigger and honking, like so. And I do like to try and keep my setup small personally. So again, the FX3 is still the way to go. And then in terms of whether they should wait for an FX3 Mark II or whatever's gonna come out next kind of thing, I think if there's a problem with your setup, 9 times out of 10. And you need to fix it, 9 times out of 10, I would say don't wait. Get whatever is the best that exists right now. Like, unless like you're expecting something to come out in the next week or something like that. I know there are rumors and stuff flying around all the time, but like,
indeed,
unless you've got something pretty solid that it's going to come out like in the next week, I would say just get whatever is the best for you in the moment kind of thing. And cameras are all just so good these days. It's actually kind of difficult as a camera reviewer because it gets really boring when all the cameras are so good. Yeah,
absolutely. They all have their niches and differences, like I know the R5C, I know it shoots 8K, it does raw 8K raw internal, you don't have to output to, HDMI, and then I know the Lumix, has that beautiful open gate, beautiful, stabilization in it, and I even looked at that because I was thinking about adding that to my thing not too long ago, and I started looking, I was like, here goes Dunna. Let me see what he says about it. And then, I was looking at, we hearing the rumors about, getting rid of the A7S line and FX3 Mark II. And, one of the biggest things about Sony cameras, none of them has false color. And I love using false color to, for S-Log, when I shoot an S-Log and everything. So that's been a really big downfall with that. But the R5C I know has false color inside of it. There's a lot of different things with it, man. But I kind of like staying with one place. And I know you have multiple manufacturer or different cameras also. I kind of like staying with just one. I don't know. I just like staying with one. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm primarily, like, I think I have 4 Sony cameras, and then I've got the one Lumix. Okay. And
what do you use the Lumix for?
I really like right now I've got, it's just on loan, but I've got their 100mm macro. And so I've been doing some like macro video stuff with it, like product shots and just kind of sprinkled in here and there. So it's, I'm fortunate in that I've got so much gear that I can pick a completely different camera just for a specific type of shot if I need it kind of thing, which is just like ultimate privilege, right? Like, if you don't have the position that I have, then obviously you make do with what you've got. And sometimes I do, if I'm out filming not in my studio and I've just got whatever I could throw in my backpack, you make do with what you've got. But
that's true.
But yeah, so it's just like like specific things that I think it's better at, or like you keep mentioning the open gate. If I know I'm going to want to shoot it horizontal and cut it down both ways, S5 can be really handy for that. Right. The only reason that I don't use it as much, or I shouldn't say the only reason, but one of the reasons why I don't use it as much is just because I've got a much better lens selection for my Sony cameras, because I've been using them for so 7 years. So
are you looking forward to the new FX3 Mark II that's possibly coming out?
I would probably snap it up pretty quickly. I keep thinking about wanting to get like a second FX3, one that I can kind of rig out a little bit and can be a little bit more of a cinema camera with like a full monitor and like a microphone on it all the time kind of thing, and then one stripped down that I can toss in my backpack and kind of be my more everyday kind of video camera. And I have been, because I have other options, and I don't, like I said, I personally, I don't need to fill that gap right now. It's just kind of a want. And so I've been kind of holding out to see what might be coming next.
It's gonna be a great day. It's gonna be. I know it's gonna be pricey, but I can definitely. Probably 6K, 8K, internal, false color, everything. Like I think they're gonna throw the kitchen sink at it. Oh, no.
I'm so interested to see what they do with it, because the whole thing with the FX3 was the low megapixel count, making it like it's just 4K, like just 4K. Only 4K.
Yep. Same with my A7S3, same camera.
And 8K. Yeah, like you got to start going up higher in megapixels, which means it's not going to be as much of a low light beast. So I'm so interested to see what comes next in that line. Yeah,
it's gonna be great, man. So another thing I have for you, like being on YouTube and like all these platforms that we have, and all these things like has its perks. And that's how people find you. That's how they learn about you. That's how they book you. All those things. What is it about you though? Why do you feel that people, want to come to your channel or subscribe to your channel? Like, what is it about your personality or just about the way you do your videos or anything like that? Why do people want to see like Dunna versus like the other 100 million
everybody
else
people
on YouTube? That's the thing about content creators, man. Like, y'all have it hard. Like, I'm a photographer and I know what I can do to set my channel apart from other photographers, but reviewers, content creators, man, y'all got it hard out there, bro. I got it hard.
I mean, from what I've been told, like it's hard to analyze yourself, and you try as best as you can to like figure out, okay, what am I doing that's working? What am I doing that's not working? And do more of the stuff that's working, do less of the stuff that's not. But from what I've heard from other people is that the way that I put together my stuff and the way that I address the audience through the camera is very like, it's very like personable.
Yes,
it feels like, my little catchphrase is secure the cup. The idea behind that was like, grab a coffee, grab a tea, grab a glass of water. We're just going to hang out and talk about blank. Enter video title here.
Yes,
kind of thing.
Absolutely.
And so that's kind of the idea, and I think that comes from the my start in the world of vlogging is like you're supposed to be taking somebody along with you for your day, so it feels like the camera is just like your friend that's there with you, and they're they're like you. They're asking me all about the next Sony camera, and I'm just there talking to them and telling them what I think about it, kind of thing. So I think that's a big part of it. I also have experience teaching. So when I was in recording school, so I went to audio recording school to become before I was a music producer kind of thing, and it's a 1-year program, so like this 11-month kind of condensed college program, and then the second year they hire some of the kind of top students from the previous year to come back and essentially be like teachers assistants and to teach in the like kind of after class practical time. Nice. And so I would have to do these things where there would be a group of 4 people, we would call them lab groups, and you would have to teach them about all the microphones that are in the room, and you're going through these things and you're talking about, okay, this one has these properties and it sounds like this and it's most likely used for this, and this is what's good about it, this is what's bad about it. And I would have to do that like 6 or 8 times per week to to different groups of people, and have to figure out how to teach different people that have different learning abilities and different ways that they want to hear the information and that kind of stuff. And I think that really feeds into the way that I think about formatting and scripting my videos and the way that I deliver the information. And so I think it's this balance of both being kind of personal and chummy and like you're just there having coffee with me, but also like I'm really thoughtful about the way that I pass on information. So I think the videos are quite valuable for people as well. And that's, I mean, my comment section, I'm one of the lucky ones where I have a really positive comment section for the most part. And I get lots of comments that are like, I've watched 100 videos on this same topic and this one just sat the easiest in my mind, like the way that you taught it kind of thing. And so I think that's the kind of balance that I strike. I like to think that I'm half Gerald Undone and half Peter McKinnon, where the technical and the personal kind of thing is kind of what I go for.
That's a good mix. I will tell you, man, like for me, like watching you and seeing your videos, man, what I like about it is the technical aspect of it. But for me, because I understand how it is been on YouTube, it's the way that you break it down. And I feel like there's a lot of people who review gear, but they leave out so many details. Like you'll get to a point and you'll be waiting like, okay, I'm there. But then they go into something like totally off. I'm like, hold on, wait a minute. Like, how do I do this? But for some reason, like you definitely hit on so many areas of, it's like you think about the questions that people might ask you and you answer those questions. And I will tell you like that, I always come back to that S-Log3 video that you did, because you don't know how many times I watched that S-Log3 video, because there was something about being outside. And I even looked up videos about, okay, you know, I do photography. I'm normally a lot outside, but I shoot an S-Log3 outside, but I have my ND filter and all this. So when I'm shooting a model and she's, you know, backlit and all this stuff is blowing out highlights and trying to get her, you know, exposed properly. Who had a video like that? Dunna had a video like that. You was sitting in front of a window and it was overexposed and all this. And so I looked at that, but what I liked about your delivery about the video was just how you added that section in there, because you could have actually just continued how the video, because when you started the video, you didn't start it like that. It started with exposing, basically telling people what S-Log was, why you use it, and all these things. But then you put that other section in here, but if they're backlit. And I was like, okay, yes, he's talking about being backlit. So what I like about it is just how you go into detail. Always remember or always think about questions people might ask you. You know, like if you was trying to get information, or if you was trying to ask a question, or if you didn't know something, think about what people might ask you, people that don't know jack crap, you know. And that's what I like about the way you do it. You take the time to go into detail to answer questions that people might ask, instead of just putting a video out there and moving on to the next video. You actually take the time. So definitely that's something I appreciate.
You nailed it too. I remember when I was putting together that video, thinking exactly that, going and watching a bunch of videos, because obviously it's a topic that's been covered 100 times.
It has.
So I went and watched a bunch of videos, and I was like, what are all these people, who's doing what's good, what's missing, that kind of thing. And I think one of the things is, everybody, when they approach that subject, they wanted it to be a one and done, here's how you shoot S-Log3. And that's like nothing. The problem with it is that nothing works that way. There is no recipe. You know, you see these Photoshop or Lightroom tutorials where it's like, put your sliders like this, and it's like, that doesn't work.
It doesn't work,
because every photo is going to be different. You have to understand what the sliders do, and then if you put the sliders like that, you know how to adjust them to make up for the fact that maybe you're backlit, or maybe your exposure is a little bit different than the person who, you know, was giving the tutorial and that kind of stuff. And
absolutely.
Unfortunately, it makes for really long, rambly videos, but I think it's important to get all that context in there. So I'm glad that it came across, and thank you for the kind words about that one.
Yeah. It definitely came across, man. It definitely came across, and it's something like regardless of one of the days when we think that we're rambling, like you just don't know. Like there's people that is going to reach. People are going to sit there and they're going to watch the whole thing because it's just a subject that they're searching it for. First of all, they're searching it because they don't know. So when they find a video with that detail and, you know, going in depth and then that connection, and then they just feel like, okay, I am getting like everything. That's what, as content creators, that's why people watch us, because they are getting something from what we're doing. We're not trying to sell them anything. We're not doing anything. We're talking to you and we're trying to help you. You know what I'm saying? So that's why they do it. That's why we do it, man. So that's really dope, man. I like I said, I love that about that. And that, like I said, that's just not the only video. Like I watched plenty of the videos, but that one kind of is the one that just stuck out to me when I was doing some research, and
you keep going back to it.
Yeah, keep going. Yeah, I kept going back to it, man. So, but yeah, and that's the thing I was gonna ask you, man. That was another question I had for you. It was like, how do you determine like what you create every day? How do you determine what you create your videos on? Is it just about what's new and in session right now, or is it something that you feel like you got a lot of knowledge about, so you just want people to know? Like, how do you determine how do you make your videos?
There's a bit of a Venn diagram of like what I'm excited about and what I think people want to know. And then also the third circle in that would be like what I think will work, because there's some stuff like I've had really bad luck with lighting videos for some reason. Like when I've done lighting videos, I think the information in there is good, and everybody says they want to learn lighting. They know how important lighting is, but then like a lot of people don't actually go and do the research and watch the lighting video. It's not like as cool or as sexy, you know, that kind of thing. So so there's a bit of a Venn diagram where like I need to be excited about it because there's an authenticity that has to come across through the camera. And so if it's a new product or something, and the company sends it to me, and I thought I was going to be excited about it, but in the end I'm not. Generally, I just won't make a video about it, even if it might have performed well. If I can't be excited about it in some way, shape, or form, whether that be excited to warn people how bad it is or excited to tell people how good it is. So that's a big part of it. And then, like I said, like if I think it'll work on the platform, like there are so many products, so many things to talk about. So if you can whittle it down to ones that you think will perform well, that's part of it. And then also like what I think people have questions on, like what's actually valuable to people. Those are kind of the three things that if I can find something that overlaps those three subjects, or those three kind of categories, then that's what I try and make all my videos on. Sometimes it has to lean towards one or two of those categories, but generally I try and find stuff that works all the way in the middle.
Yeah, and that's true. And I'm glad you brought up lighting, because lighting was a big thing, especially like when I was trying to create like a studio. And a lot of people try to create a studio. Like one of the biggest things that is researched on YouTube is people starting a YouTube channel and making a studio and lighting and you know, little things in the background and everything. But I know one of the things that I was researching was when it wasn't about softboxes and everything, because I know about that, but for some reason I could never find anything about, if I'm using a softbox, should I single diffuse it? Should I double diffuse it? Should I use an egg crate? Should I do this? Like there was nothing out there about it. So I'm like, I was like, I don't know. Should I use a grid? Should I have it double diffuse and use a grid? Should it be really close? Should it be really far back? And like all these content creators, you know, who's in studio, like they don't really show. I think the only person I actually saw their actual setup was Farouk. I forgot his name. You know what I'm talking about.
iPhone-do.
iPhone-do. Yeah, he was in for Sony with us. But yeah, I think he's the only one who I actually saw like his studio tour, like and everything. But lighting, I was like, how do I need like a 38-inch, 48-inch? Do I need a single diffuse, double diffuse? Do I need a grid? What's going to give me the best, nice light? Like, I know what a grid does. You know, it focuses the light. I'm a photographer. But when I'm doing talking heads, like some people don't use grids. Some people do use grids. I'm like,
You know what's funny is I change my setup every time I sit down. So before, when I was setting up for this shot specifically, I took the grid off of my key light because I had been using a grid for the last couple of weeks. So I took the grid off. I added an extra sheet of diffusion, so now it's double diffused, which I've never done before. I've always only had single diffusion. I swapped out the before backup kind of behind me here. I had two really large soft boxes, and I swapped those out for two smaller soft boxes. So like I'm constantly changing and learning. I feel like lighting is one of the most difficult and subtle arts in and I mean that's what it's all about, right? Like obviously like as a portrait photographer and stuff, you know what those subtle changes. Actually the black dish is a perfect example of that. It's a subtle thing. It's still a parabolic softbox, but it's this subtle change of like the reflection material on the inside changes the light ever so slightly and just gives you a different look. And you could like one better, you could like the other, you could need both so that you can use them in different situations. But knowing all those subtle changes and stuff, I think takes people years and years, or like if I don't know if people have great intuition on it or whatever, but I still find that's one of my favorite things to play around with, and is a cool challenge, and one of the things that frustrates me the most as well, because you can almost never get it quite how you want it to be.
You can't, man. And it really irks me, man, because I'll be like, I want my lighting to look like that so bad, and then I'm like, okay, let me put my softbox close to me. Okay, let me put a grid on it. Okay, let me just take the grid off. Okay, and then it's with your camera. It's like, okay. When I was looking at my camera, because I film on my A7 IV, and then it was like, okay, I'm shooting at S-Log. Okay, well, I need to stay. I got it at 50, and I'm at 24. But now I want to put on a Moments Cinebloom, so I want to bloom my lights. But okay, now I need a ND filter so I can keep it at that. Okay, wait a minute, what? Like I was doing is crazy the amount of stuff that goes into what we do, and I don't think people will ever understand.
4 hours later, you can record that 15-second reel you want to do.
Exactly, and it's still not the way I want it. So. But that's here nor there, man. But yeah, anyway, that's a great segue like into something I was going to ask you, because I know you get this question a lot because you as content creators, but you're approached by somebody who is looking to get into content creation, and we get it all the time. What do you feel like there are some absolute necessary qualities that you have to have before basically exposing yourself like to the world? Like you just can't start a YouTube channel, people. Like there is levels to this. So Dunna's gonna tell them like what do they need to do or know to basically have before getting on here and talking to the world.
So first of all, I would kind of refute the point that you can't just start, because you absolutely can just start.
Okay. Yeah.
You just can't have certain expectations right when you start. I think that's more the point that you were trying to get across there. Is like you can't expect to put out your first video and to have it be as good as your favorite YouTubers, and you can't expect to all of a sudden get 1 million followers and all that kind of stuff.
True.
And so, and to that point, I think perseverance is really a big part of it. I think that people don't, because of the way that the trajectory happens with the growth of channels, more often than not, they'll have to do it consistently and regularly for a couple of years before they kind of find a flow and things pick up, and then it kind of goes from there. So I think consistency and perseverance are really important, and understanding that every video is a chance to practice for the next video. I think that's really important, and to take on those challenges and to be excited about them. I think that's a good personality trait, and pretty much everybody that I know that has made something of themselves on social media, I think enjoys that process. They like getting better in every video. They like every month having to kind of take a look at what's happening in the space and updating a little bit and trying to kind of improve and recreate themselves a little bit. And like, as far as advice for new creators, I think practice is really something that goes kind of unsaid a little too much, in my opinion. If we think about musicians, and maybe this is just me going back to my music background, but like, when we're starting out as musicians, you get a piano, maybe you start taking some lessons, you learn Mary Had a Little Lamb first. Somebody else wrote Mary Had a Little Lamb. You're not out there trying to compose concertos your first time at the piano so that you can play them in front of 10,000 people. You're practicing other people's songs. You're learning other people's songs first. You're just practicing in your living room or whatever. And then eventually, once you feel like you've gotten to a certain level, then you take it out to the world. And you can do the same thing with your content too. You can start practicing just on your phone. You can be holding it out and practice speaking to the camera. Get used to the idea of speaking into a lens. Don't look at your face on the screen, those kinds of things.
Absolutely. That's a real thing.
Start to get up your confidence. Yeah, exactly. So I think taking the time to actually practice the craft a little bit before you start posting is important, and then post before you think you're ready as well. Like, just don't wait too long. Because if you're waiting for it to be perfect, you're never going to be ready.
Yeah, that's true.
So there's like, take a little bit of practice and then post something. And the best thing about, what I said earlier, like, you can just start if you want. Like, if you want to post your first thing that you ever make, like, great, by all means, that's awesome. And the best part about that is you don't have any followers.
Yeah.
If you screwed up, if the whole thing is garbage, there's no one there to see the garbage.
Yeah, that's true.
So
too.
just like, put it out there and learn from it, and you can always take it down later. Like, as long as you didn't do anything offensive or that hurts anybody. Like,
right.
What difference does it matter? It's a good thing to look back at and have a little laugh about and learn from.
Do you feel, and those are all really, really good. Do you feel that people should have a certain level of expertise or knowledge before starting a channel? Because if you come out here and you start talking, if you ain't, people are going to call you out if you don't know what you're talking about. And so that's what I'm saying. Do you feel like people should, like, you got to know what you're talking about before you actually get out here, or would you say, hey, I don't care if you don't know anything or not, just start?
That's a tricky one. I feel like you should speak to what you're excited about, what you've got, like just excitement around and things that you're interested in. And you can always, the beauty of social media is that we post so much, right? Or one of the beauties of it is that we post so much. So if you say something in a video and you get called out on it, make another video about how you learned from somebody in the comment section. And, leave a pinned comment and be like, hey, thanks so much for you guys, like, help in the comments, as long as they weren't being jerks about it, which
of course
is hit or miss. But
yes, it is.
You can learn from your audience as well. Like, it's social media. It's a back and forth. It's not like traditional TV or movies or any of those kinds of things where it's a one-way street and you don't get to speak back to them. You do have an audience that's trying to some extent to interact with you, and so I think that kind of loosens it up a little bit. Like, when I first started, I tried to make it clear that I was like, hey, I'm just starting with this. Here's what I've learned so far. So it's probably riddled with mistakes, and things that I have since changed, and I still do it, like I'll say something and then 3 months later I'm like, I don't really like that thing anymore. So then I can just make something new about how I don't do that anymore. Like, it's a chance for more content. So
right.
I wouldn't get too picky about making sure that you're like the absolute expert on it. And that's coming from a guy who, like I said, I was making content about my process of learning kind of thing. So,
which is absolutely great. And that's a really, really good point, because I know a lot of people don't, they have something that they love or something that they love to talk about. I don't care if it's something as small as making cakes. I know people who can make cakes very well. I was like, girl, you need to start a YouTube channel. So get your stuff out. I'm not good at it. I was like, okay, well, you should definitely start because, social media and platforms, it's not going to do anything but get larger, and it's a very, very good way to get your business out there, especially as an entrepreneur. And extra money, and then just letting the world know, and I think I recommend YouTube, especially for all people who have some type of skill or content creation or whatever, because it will help you when you get jobs. It will help you when you get clients, because it's easy to say, and this has worked for me a lot of times. And when I can use myself, but as a photographer, when say for instance you got a wedding couple and they hit you up and say, hey, I love your work. We're getting married here soon. I wanted to get your prices and everything. And I'm like, okay, hey, here's my prices. This is me. You can, all right, cool. I'm gonna we looked at a few other people, who are also photographers and everything. So when they come to me, it's like, okay, well, you know what? Here's my Instagram. Here's my website. But by the way, I also have a really big YouTube channel that has over like 300 something videos on it. So you can see how I work. You can see my work behind the scenes. You can see a lot of things. So it definitely puts you on that next level. It puts you a little bit over the rest because you have so much and they feel so much more comfortable with you and seeing you, which is really, really good for business. So definitely. And I agree with 100% with you. Get out there. Just start it, have fun with it. You're only going to learn. Nobody starts off great. You got it.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I know I didn't. I was horrible. I remember my first video I made on YouTube. Gee whiz, Lord have mercy. It was,
I go back and watch vlog number 1 every once in a while, and just to remind myself how far I've come.
Yeah, and you refuse to take it down. I was like, I'm not taking it down. It's gonna stay here.
That's up there forever.
It's gonna stay here, man. And that's that's a great thing, man. And I was going to ask you, I think one of the last questions I have for you is just you and, how you see yourself, or how do you see yourself in the near future? Like, what exactly are you trying to do with your YouTube channel? Like, what's the message or the word that you want to get out to people about you and, what you're trying to, like, what are you trying to accomplish with your channel right now?
That's a great question. It's a funny time to ask that question too, because it does feel like the industry of this, like, creator industry that's so young is really shifting, and especially for whatever reason, especially in the camera world, it feels like things are really shifting. And so I recently took a look at kind of what my core tenets are for, like, what do I want to do with the content. And so I definitely want to educate. I want to take the things that I've learned over the last 7 years, and I want to pass them on to the people who are just getting their first camera, who are 2 or 3 years into it and are starting to get into more advanced kind of stuff. I still want to give value for people who are trying to buy gear. So there's kind of tutorials is number 1, reviews is number 2. So I still want to do that. And I really just, like, also want to foster community and connection as well, and be like a positive kind of safe space where people can come to learn about either how to use the gear or which gear to buy, but then also who feel like they can connect with someone who is making these videos and that kind of stuff. So it really is about educate and entertain kind of thing. So it's like, it's going to be fun, and there's going to be value in everything that I make. I don't necessarily ever want to just make something because it's funny. It's got to have, like, something a little bit more to it. So there's the value in the information that's in there is really important to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing about the industry, man, I think it's a positive thing, because I can think back years and years before, as mirrorless was coming out and how DSLRs was and everything. And you can just, if you think back about, where it used to be and where it is now, it's crazy how the times are changing, how the industry is changing, how the manufacturers are changing. People are buying, like, I know saw recently somebody bought out Red. Was it Nikon? I think it was.
Yeah.
Nikon recently bought out Red, and I mean, it's just so much going on, and people are talking about how Sony's probably about to make a medium format camera, and it's just so many things, man, that I'm just going through my brain. I'm just like, it's a great time because the competition is great. It's great for content creators, and it's just great to just keep your ears to the streets, and just create content and have fun doing it. And I will say, the biggest thing, with this, just have fun. I just like the way, especially like people like yourself. At the end of the day, we just like to have fun. We like to communicate. We like to talk. We like to reach people that we can't physically reach. So we use, YouTube and Instagram as that outlet to still reach people and have those connections, man. So, again, man, I appreciate you so much, man. You're definitely an inspiration, man. I watch, like I said, I watch a lot of your stuff, man, and I just like the way you deliver it. And
dude, thank you so much.
Take that technical aspect of it, and you just make it a great time. So if I had to say anything about it, man, just continue to keep it the way you are, keep it fun, keep the details, because people like me, we still, even though we're out there, trust me, I still like to hear and see, like, okay, well, what about this? I'm like, oh, he already answered that. Great. Like, think about the little people. That's the thing about it. People, when they get to that level, they don't think about the little people, what the little people's gonna ask. Don't think about the people that got all the money who already know the stuff. Think about the people who might not know it, and just answer it. And that's why we watch it, and that's why we watch Dunna. You know what I'm saying? So definitely,
appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Definitely.
Sweet, man.
Well, I really appreciate you from coming through, man, and chopping it up with me, man. 15-20 seconds, man. Tell people where they can find you at, what's going on with you, man, and how everybody can get in touch with you.
You got it. I mean, you can find me YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, wherever. It's all Dunna Did It, DUNNADIDIT. So just keep up on those places and see what's new.
Absolutely. Well, you heard it here first, folks. Mr. Dunna Did It, man. Absolutely incredible YouTuber, content creator, man. Can never go wrong with this brother, man. I just really appreciate you for chopping it up with me. And until next time, man, make sure y'all comment on the video, man. Tell us what you like and don't like. Tell me if Dunna's wrong about all the videos and the scenario that we gave him. And just have a good time. Make sure you guys go follow him. I'll make sure his information is down below also. And until next time, man, we'll see you guys in the next episode. We out of here. Peace out.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, yo, Brandon, what's poppin', boy? Underexposed Podcast. That's what I'm seeing. That's what I heard. You already know what it is. Let's get it.